There are a couple of different ways to think about it. Invasive and non-native plants are those that come from other countries. They are pretty aggressive and they invade our wooded areas and our meadows here. And then there are also just invasive species. Some people use that term to talk about some natives because things like wild grape or goldenrod, they're both native species, but they're pretty aggressive, so they spread pretty well.
These plant species that are not native to our area and that are highly invasive damage the forest and the plant communities in our area because they tend to outcompete them.
They are able to grow really prolifically, so they have lots of seed, they grow by runners, they often have a chemical in their roots that don't allow other things to grow around them. And so what they do is lower biodiversity. The reason why you need biodiversity is to keep the forests and the meadows very healthy.
Then there's the impact of vines growing over trees and deforming them. So there are a lot of ways in which these invasive plants can damage the functioning and health and diversity of the ecosystem. What people are worried about right now is Japanese knotweed because it grows so fast, it's really prolific, you can't get rid of it. But we also have a lot of invasive species that have been here for a long time. Trees like Norway maple. We have vines, grapevines, and other kinds of vines that grow on our trees that damage the health of the trees and the shrubs.
Two species that we are really asking people to look out for are Japanese stiltgrass and then also mile-a-minute. They are plants that aren't as prevalent here in the city parks, and so we want folks to pay attention and see if they're out there. There are many others like porcelainberry, Norway maple, bishop scoutweed, and those three specifically are still sold in nurseries, so don't buy those.
We have this problem of some invasive species actually deliberately being introduced into the environment. So one thing that we have to do is educate people not to buy invasive species. We have to tell them what plants are not good plants to plant in their garden, even though they may be very pretty.
We ask people to do manual removal, so they cut vines so that they aren't choking trees, and they pull up garlic mustard.
You can cut down the plants at the right time of the year, and then you can apply a really strong solution of hydrogen peroxide and some other things that degrade into the environment without being harmful to water and other plants, and prevent them from growing back, at least in the short term. You have to keep after them and not just stop and think because you've removed one clump of knotweed that it's not going to come back. It's going to take constant vigilance.